Once upon a time in a town not so far from here, there was a goldsmith who had a large vault to store his gold. One day a townsman came by and asked him if he could keep his gold in the goldsmith's vault as well, so that it would be safe from thieves and robbers. The goldsmith accepted the gold and wrote an official piece of paper of how much gold he owed to the townsman. Sometime later, someone else came to the goldsmith with that same piece of paper to exchange it for gold. He explained to the goldsmith that he had traded some expensive products with the townsman in exchange for the paper claim on the gold. The goldsmith noticed that the townspeople traded his paper claims on gold for goods and services. To facilitate trade, the goldsmith made standardized credit notes or banknotes with standard amounts written on them. This made trade a lot easier. It worked like a charm. More and more townsfolk began trading goods and services with banknotes, while keeping their gold safe with the goldsmith in the vault. The goldsmith wrote the banknotes in advance so that he would have them ready when people came to deposit their gold with him. As the goldsmith looked at the pile of prepared banknotes, he had a great idea. What if I took a number of banknotes from the pile to buy a ship? Then I could send the ship on a trading expedition. When the trading ship returns with expensive goods, I can sell them at a profit. As long as not everyone cashes in their banknotes before the ship returns, everything will be fine and I will become rich. And just like that, banking was invented. The clever goldsmith who became a banker issued a few unbacked banknotes to buy a ship. The ship sailed out and returned with golds that were sold on the market. This earned the banker profits that he would not have earned without first making this new money. The profit gave the banker desire for more, so he invested in more ships with additional banknotes. The ships delivered products which were sold on the market for coin. That way, the banker had enough gold in the vault in case some of the people came to redeem their banknotes. His investments were very successful and his desire for more money grew, so the banker bought even more companies. With all those companies bought and banknote issued, more banknotes came into circulation. The people who had banknotes usually spent them on goods and services in the market. Then something happened. Goods and services suddenly became more expensive. The more banknotes came into circulation, the more the prices of goods and services in the market were driven up. Slowly but surely, the confidence of the townspeople began to crumble. A few townspeople went to take their gold out of the bank just to be safe. But then they heard the banker say, "I'm sorry, I don't have your gold today. Can you please come back next week? I'll probably have it then." This alarmed the people, who believed that the banknotes in their hand meant that the corresponding amount of gold was waiting for them safely in the bank's vault. The rumor that the bank did not have enough gold to repay the banknotes spread like wildfire. The next week, more people came to redeem the banknotes. They heard an increasingly stressed banker say, "I told you, wait, be patient. I'll have your gold tomorrow with interest." Everyone in town that had banknotes had repeatedly broken his promise to exchange banknotes for gold. The townspeople with banknotes took up torches and pitchforks and went to the bank to get their gold from the vault, by force if necessary. They forced their way into the banker's office, forced him to open the vault, and to their horror they saw that the vault was completely empty. This enraged the mob, and they threw the banker into the deepest dungeon in the city. There they gave him 1 year to repay all the bank's bills with gold. When the year was over, the banker's business had not made enough money to cover all his debts. After trying out many medieval tortures on the banker, they burned him and all the worthless banknotes at the stake. The townspeople swore solemn oath that day that they would never allow anyone to create paper money out of thin air. The people had learned their lesson. Everything was back in order in the city that had seen so much turmoil, until one day, many years later, a clever goldsmith noticed that people who stored their gold in his vault often left it there for a very long time, and he started a bank.
Welcome back, this is Board Game Officer. Today we are going over Money Maker. So this is going to be a 3 to 6 player that takes about 45 to 180 minutes. It takes about 15 minutes per player. So in this game, you're going to be a commercial banker, and you're pretty much trying to make your investments and get as rich as you can. And the richest player wins at the end, basically. Throughout it, you're going to be bidding against other players, and you're going to use those bids to get these investments here. As you can see, the investments, they're going to give you some goods and services, and then you're going to sell those goods and services to get some gold here. However, everything you buy is going to be with these credits. And these credits are going to go out onto the board. All of these credits that you used to buy is pretty much other people's money that they put into the bank, right? Meaning, when people try to come and say, "Hey, I want my money," you need to be able to back anything that's on this board here of your credits with the amount of gold in your vault. So it's good to take risks for those investments, but if you take too much risk and you're not able to back that credit by the gold, then you're going to be in a financial crisis, right? So let's go ahead and go in and talk about a little bit of how the game plays. So this game is going to have multiple rounds at each round. So everyone starts off with these 4 cards in your hand. You've got auction and return cards. You've got sell products. You've got buy and produce, and you have margin call. So everyone has all 4 of these cards, and at the beginning of the round, you're going to secretly choose which one you want to choose. So if I want to buy and produce this round, I'm going to take that card and wait until everyone is ready. When it's ready, everyone will flip off, and they will do those actions according to the number on the card. So the person who played auction and return card are going to go first, buy and produce second, sell products third, and margin call will go fourth. Now, if two people play the same card, any of them is going to go off of whoever the favorite child is. Basically, whoever's holding this dice, which is going to change each round, they get to go first, or they get to choose who gets to go first. Except for the sell product, because this here, these are the market values for the goods and services. And the more these cubes come out, the higher the market value is. And when you sell, they're going to go back into the market, meaning that the market value is going to go down because there's more out there in the market. So it benefits you to go first. So because it benefits you, and instead of the favorite child picking, what you're going to do is you actually are going to bid on whoever gets to go first. So if I really want to go first bad, I'm going to say, hey, you're going to go and you're going to flip it over and go, hey, I go 10. If someone else said, well, I wanted to go 15 bad, the person who just bid 15 gets to go first, and it actually goes towards that player, that basically they're paying that player to say, hey, I get to go first. Just quick overview. I know that was probably confusing, but I don't want to get into the details here. That was probably too much. But more or less, you're going to pick one, then you're going to resolve each of the cards one by one, and then after you do that, that card is going to stay down in front of you, except the auction when it says end return cards. So if I use this margin call, it's going to stay down. So the next round, I do not have that card in my hand to play. Then at the end of the round, whoever that favorite child is or whoever's holding that die is going to roll, and that's a windmill there. Now you're going to look at all of your investments that you have bought. If there's a windmill underneath there, that is going to produce. Then you're going to draw an event card, and you're going to resolve that event. That event is going to do multiple things. Many of them are pretty like bad events, but what you've got this confidence tracker here, and this confidence tracker is going to move down. Most of these events are going to show you move the confidence track down 2. So you'll move this down 2. Now this confidence tracker, once it reaches this little circle here, that is going to make you conduct immediately a bank run. Basically, thematically, what this means is a bank run, meaning the confidence in your bank has gone way down because you have made way too many investments. And so you are going to have to basically repay any of your debt. So when a bank run happens, what you're going to do is you're going to roll this dice again. But now this time, instead of it producing for you, that is when it comes down to this here, you're going to have to repay all your credits on that island that has that symbol. So now let's talk about this board here actually. So as you can kind of see, I have stuff laid out here. Anytime you pay for anything, you are going to be paying with your credits here. Whether that means you're bidding with someone else, or you're auctioning off something else, or you're getting one of these investments, anytime you pay anything, it's going to come out to this board. And you've got these tokens here to show you which islands you put your credits on. So everyone usually starts off on 1. So if I buy one of these for 10, I'm going to put that 10 credit on there. As you can see, there's only one island here. So no matter what I roll here, I will have to pay that back, because if I got brick, there's brick there, I'll have to pay it back. However, after you pay off 10 of your credits, you can promote. And as you promote, now you're on level 2. And as you can see, 2 has 2 levels, or 2 islands. And then after you pay off 20, you could promote to put on to island 3, and so forth, all the way up to island 5, or island 6. As you can see, each island or each upgrade, each promotion is going to have more islands, meaning you could kind of diversify your assets or all of your loans, because you only have to pay back whatever is rolled on this dice. So if I only have 10 gold in the bank and I'm on level 4, or in my vault, if I only have 10 gold in my vault, technically, and if I'm on level 4, I could have 10 gold on each island, because you will never have to pay off more than one island at a time. So that's why it benefits you to go up. So if you play this card here, auction, that is when you can auction off and bid on the top ones here of these investments. Now when you bid, it is not going to be like an auction where you bid back and forth. What you're going to do is you're going to decide what you want. There's going to be a starting bid, which is going to be 4 times the value, the market value of the goods there, which is wherever the highest cube is. So right here it's full, so there's going to be 1. So the minimum bid for this is 4. So I'm going to say I'm going to bid 5 just in case. But somebody else, but you don't tell anyone this, Everyone's going to pick how much they bid. Everyone puts their hand in the middle, flip it over, and whoever has the most or whoever bid the highest gets that. So you have to decide of how bad you want it and how bad other people might want it, because it might be lowest bid 4, but you might end up paying like 15 for it because everyone really wants it. Then you have buy and produce. This is when you can buy stuff from the market directly at half value. So each of these cubes are worth 1, so I could buy up to 4 of these, each for half off, so I could buy 4 cubes for 2 basically. And produce, meaning any of my investments that I have on my thing, I get the cubes that are shown at the bottom. And then you're going to have sell products, where you could sell any of these cubes that you have on your board. You could sell back to the market for whatever the market value is. So if you put it in the 1 slot, you'll get 1 gold, and you can sell up to as much as you want. And then for the last one is margin call. That is when you can actually pay off anything on your board voluntarily. Right? When the bank run happens, you have to, but when you play the margin call, you could pay off any debts you have on the board anywhere, which can help you promote and get up higher on there. So that's pretty much the rundown of the game. That was probably very high level. I don't know if that made a whole lot of sense. This game is a little bit, it's not really complicated. It's just different. Which I'll kind of get into a little bit here. But let's go ahead and go through the things I liked and things that I didn't like and things that I think can be improved. Things that I liked is I actually really liked the interaction of the board here. I know this probably didn't make too much sense, and it didn't make sense to me until I actually started playing it, how beneficial it is to upgrade and promote. That it just feels very empowering. I know you move it up, you're like, oh, I've got 2 islands, I have 20 gold, now I could put up to 40 out right here just from going from level 1 to level 2. You pretty much double your amount of safety, basically, that you could risk it. So the further you are, the more you could risk it, and I like that aspect of risking it, but then you're being able to pay stuff off, which makes it so you could risk it some more. That little routine I really enjoyed. Another thing that I really liked about it were these investments. So these investments here, they're really cool because they can be very powerful, especially ones like this where you could trade two of one thing for 3 of another. Especially learning that diversifying in these die rolls here is also very important. I know these really help change up the game because there's all different ones, so it really helps with that. These events can be problematic, but that kind of makes it fun as well because it could throw stuff at you. There'll be one that'll be like, and you need to pay off everything on the board that's any one of these little tokens that's a 1, 2, 5, or 10. You have to pay off everything on the board that's 1, 2, 5, or 10, which can really be problematic. It really keeps you on the toes every round for the events instead of just like, well, I know the confidence track is up high, so I can do whatever I want for risking. It kind of still puts that game of risking it a little bit more risky, I guess, than because it's not risky if you know when everything's going to happen. So that was kind of fun. Another thing that was kind of cool is that I learned a lot of learning this game because it's all about the banking and how banking became a thing, which I had no idea. So that was kind of cool going through that, actually seeing how this works and how that diversification works and everything, and how you could really be greedy, because that actually kind of benefits you in this game, sadly, of being greedy and risky and keeping all the gold, and it really kind of interesting but fun. There's actually one thing that, secret bidding is actually really kind of fun. It makes it fast. So it's not like, well, I want 10. Well, I'll pay 6. Well, I'll pay 7. Well, I'll pay 8. You just grab it, boom, whoever wins it gets it, and you go on. So it's a way to do bidding, but it makes it a little bit of a faster play, which is fun. And it means that you could be doing stuff on other people's turn as well, which is nice. And the most I played with is 4 people. You can play it up to 6. But even at 4 players, it didn't seem too long. We probably played, I don't know, probably took an hour and 15, hour and 20, but that was because it was 2 or 3 of theirs first time, right? So we were still learning the game. But it's still an hour 20, wasn't too bad. It didn't feel long, so that was really good. All right, so now for the things that I didn't like. One thing that happened every time I played it, whether I played with 3 or 4 people, the odd person out won, right? So you've only got 4 cards, which really isn't too bad because there's still a lot to do, even though you have 4 options each time. But there always seems to be a couple people who have the same strategy of like, oh, I'm gonna buy this turn so I could sell next turn. And those people who do those things at the same time, they like, right, whoever, if two people sell, that means they got a bid on it, and they're not going to be able to sell as much or for as much. But the other person or two that didn't sell at that same time, or didn't buy at that same time, or didn't auction off at that same time, they get a huge advantage. I played this with one person who really, she didn't know what was going on as we were playing it. She's not much of a gamer, but I made her play with me. And she actually ended up winning because she didn't have the same strategy as me. I was playing with my wife. Me and my wife, they didn't have the same strategy, but me and my wife did. So we kept butting heads with wanting to buy and sell, where my sister was like, I don't know, I'm going to do this. And it was off from us. So she ended up winning just because she didn't sell at the same time or buy at the same time. And when there's only 4 options, it's hard to, you want to try to do something, but you don't want to do the same thing as other people, which I guess can be a good thing. But it kind of, where every single time it was the person who didn't have the exact, or who didn't sell or buy at the same time, that benefited greatly. It was hard to get out of that, I guess. I don't know if that's a true negative, but that's how I felt. I felt that was kind of weird. Another thing is the theme, right? The theme is probably not funnest theme per se. Like I said, I did learn about it, but I had no idea about it. So the theme isn't my favorite, but it's not a bad theme. It's just, not up my alley really. Another thing, this is a prototype, so I have a hard time making this negative, but I do want to state the rulebook here was not very good. I had to probably read it like 3 or 4 times before I understood how everything was happening, which is probably why I was not very good at explaining it, because it was kind of convoluted in my brain of what was going on. Once we got going, it made sense, but I did have to read the rule book a few times. I don't feel like it explains stuff very well, but it's a prototype, so don't mark my words with that. But I do want to state that because that was a thing. Another thing that I actually kind of like is this double layered board. I'm hoping these will be connected. So this is like a positive and a negative. I really like the idea of these, right? So they move, they all stay there. However, they're not connected to the board. And so they kept getting bumped and coming off and moving and sliding. Anyway, so that's kind of a positive and negative. I like the double layered, but I wish it was all set or connected just because they kept moving. But it was nice to have them so the cubes themselves weren't moving, that's for sure. One other kind of fun thing is these vaults here. Right, it's a way to kind of hide so people can't see how much you're picking or how much you're bidding, and or putting your gold behind here so people don't know how much gold you're hiding in your vaults, so they know if you're like going to bust anytime soon. So my overall thought, I actually really did enjoy it overall. A few things that I wish there was more. Like I said, the 4 cards isn't horrible, but the fact when you're playing with like 5 or 6 people, then everyone's going to be doing like the same thing on each round. But I don't know what they would add for another card. But that was one limiting thing I had. But other than that, really, I really did enjoy it. It was very thinky. You had to find strategy with depending on what cards you got or investments you had versus what other people had, so you knew what they wanted, right? So there's a lot of interplay in that way of bidding, being like, oh, what are they going to do? They probably want that one a lot, so they're going to bid a little bit higher, so I'm going to bid higher, right? The first time I played this, we basically, if the minimum bid was 4, people were bidding maybe 5, 6, 7 at the most. The other 2 times I were playing, we played with different people, and they were all about bidding high. So it's like minimum was 4 and people were bidding 15, which is fine. But in my mindset, it's like you got to know who you're playing with of what they're going to bid, because you might be like, oh, I'm safe with the 6th bid, and people are bidding 15. You're like, oh, right? And that kind of changed up your whole mentality of it. So overall, I liked it. It was different each time I played it. A few gripes with understanding the rules, with that kind of the odd man out winning kind of ideal. Not that they had a better strategy, they just happened to not do it when everyone else was doing it. So I guess that was a strategy, if they did that on purpose or not, right? But that is Moneymaker. It is coming out on Kickstarter soon. I think it's Kickstarter, not GameFound. I'm pretty sure it's Kickstarter. But I will put down the link below once it's out. And I will see you later.